I want you to watch this player closely. His name is Jontay Porter. In an NBA game on January 26, 2024, he grabs a rebound. A few minutes later, he gets a second, then a third. But then he asks his coaches to leave the game because of an injury. This kind of thing happens all the time, and no one thought twice about it until 3 months later when the NBA said they caught Porter gambling.
The NBA has just handed down one of its harshest punishments ever
to the Toronto Raptors' Jontay Porter for violating the league's gambling rules.
Limiting his own participation in games, sharing confidential information, and betting on as many as 13 NBA games himself.
Jontay Porter perfectly demonstrates how one kind of sports bet, called a player prop bet, has become an existential risk to sports.
It's a major warning shot, and I think the NFL, Major League Baseball, MLS, everything here stateside, they have to be reevaluating everything that they're doing.
So what makes prop bets so dangerous? And why can't we just get rid of them?
Nobody has ever invented a system for beating the law of averages, but it's human nature to try at least once.
Unlike betting on cards or slots, betting on sports puts humans in a unique position to control some of the outcome. It's something players have tried to take advantage of in the past.
In 1951, over 32 U.S. college basketball players were arrested for taking bribes in exchange for fixing game scores. In 89, Major League Baseball banned Cincinnati Reds player, then manager Pete Rose, for betting on his own team. And in 2010, a massive scandal involved 3 Pakistani cricket players who manipulated their matches to win bets. These scandals led fans to question how authentic these games really were, a question the sports leagues had to quash.
You want the game to be pure, that everyone in every game is trying to win.
Tom Habestraw is a reporter covering the NBA.
As soon as you introduce something that is counter to that, where a person has a financial gain or a financial interest in throwing a game, then it's not on the up and up.
That's why sports leagues supported the U.S. government when it mostly banned sports betting in 1992. But after the U.S. Supreme Court reversed that ban 26 years later, and as legal sports companies began opening up, the leagues didn't push back. Instead, they teamed up with them. The NBA has made DraftKings and FanDuel official betting partners and lets them use its data and logos in their betting apps. Major League Baseball displays FanDuel's betting information during some of its games, and some NFL teams even let sportsbooks set up on their stadium grounds, all in exchange for a cut of their revenue. So are the leagues not worried about the integrity of their games anymore?
It wasn't a change of heart about the ethics of gambling. I think it really was the risks of this taking down our sport are not greater than the potential financial upside of potentially billion-dollar partnerships with sports books.
That bet is paying off as sports gambling has skyrocketed into a $10 billion industry. In 2023, an estimated 29 million American adults place bets on sports. That's more than 1 in 10.
And now they can bet on more things than ever before. But as promised, this is a story about cheaters. And there's probably another kind of cheater you've encountered yourself. These are data brokers. These are companies that take your personal information online and they sell it to just about anyone, oftentimes without you even knowing it. And that can have real life consequences. One of the most serious being that this information can be used to steal your identity. It's a large reason why identity theft has been skyrocketing over the last few years. Now, as a journalist, my information is literally all over the internet, and it's why I use Delete Me to keep it private and safe. It's also why I'm happy to have Delete Me sponsor this video. They make it super easy to get started. First, you'll get a welcome email from Delete Me. Then you tell them what kinds of information you want deleted, and their privacy experts will take it from there. They'll also monitor sites and keep repeating requests to remove if needed. And great news, Delete Me is available in a growing list of countries. In just 7 days, they'll give you a privacy report. That kind of peace of mind is what makes it really worth it, and it's why I use it. And now you can get started with Delete Me by going to joindeleteme.com/searchparty. If you use the code SEARCHPARTY, you'll get 20% off their international plan. As I said, this is a product that I use. I really recommend it, and I really want to thank Delete Me for supporting Search Party and sponsoring this video. Now let's get you back to the story.
All right, so for the sake of accurate journalism, I downloaded a sports betting app for this story. And the first thing it shows me is all the sports that I can bet on. Let's pick the NBA, and now all the games I can bet on. Let's pick
Celtics, Mavericks, the first game of the NBA Finals. Now, the first thing it shows me is the most traditional bets. These are the game line bets. So I can bet on how close the game is. I can bet on the total number of points scored. And of course, here is who wins. These are the most traditional bets, and they're the hardest for a single player to manipulate.
Say one bets on his own team to lose. He could play poorly on purpose, but it's unlikely enough to lose the game, since his teammates are all trying to win it.
Now, this app also lets me place what's called a player proposition bet.
It has nothing to do with the outcome. Instead, it's a bet on a single player's performance. First, the betting company takes a statistic, like 3-point baskets, and makes a guess at how many this player will score in the game, based on his history and opponent. Then it lets me bet that he'll make over or under that limit.
Now, the thing is, player prop bets are really dangerous because it's very easy for that one player to get under the limit on purpose. It's exactly what the NBA says Jontay Porter did.
What if I told you that the night of this game, DraftKings noticed a lot of people placing prop bets on Porter, specifically that he would grab under 4.5 rebounds. With that in mind, let's watch it again. Porter quickly gets 2 rebounds in the first quarter, then a third, which he tries to strangely deflect to his teammate. But he doesn't, so that's already 3. 2 more and he's over the limit. So he takes himself out. Leaving the game guarantees he gets under 4.5 rebounds and also under 1/2 3-pointers, under 1.5 assists, and under 5.5 points. And none of it looked out of the ordinary.
So these prop bets, opportunities for players to essentially lock in under 12.5 points, under 6.5 rebounds, especially if you pretend that you're injured and you take yourself out of the game and there's no way that you can hit the over on certain bets.
The NBA announced an investigation only after gambling companies told them about the large number of bets on this game and others that Porter played in. From there, it was pretty obvious Porter was involved.
DraftKings had said that prop bets for Porter were the biggest winners that day.
A bettor placed $80,000 on Porter not hitting certain in-game milestones.
The NBA had found, evidence that he was tipping off associates and conspirators. Look, I'm going to remove myself early from this game, and you better bet the under.
Porter had transformed this game from a competition between 2 basketball teams to a scheme to win bets. And even though he was caught, the damage has been done because now anytime a player has a bad game or leaves early, fans might wonder,
wait a minute, what was the line on that guy? What was his over-under on his points for that game? It just shows me that it's going to be so difficult to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
A superstar making millions is unlikely to risk their career to make a little extra cash cheating prop bets. The problem is that gambling companies offer prop bets on players that make a lot less.
The fact that sportsbooks were offering prop bets on Jontay Porter's stat lines for a guy who is, 8th, 9th, 10th on the list, this seems like a recipe for disaster.
Porter was making $400,000 a year, and his brother made $33 million this season. Yet he was still tempted to cheat on prop bets.
It seems that we underestimated how alluring it is for NBA players to scratch that itch.
So if an NBA player can't resist, what about a WNBA player making $100,000 a year? Or a rookie baseball player fighting to stay in the majors? Or a college athlete?
College athletes in particular are much higher risk. They don't get paid, so there might be a greater opportunity for someone to get in their ear being like, hey, this is the only time that you're going to be able to make this kind of money, and you better capitalize on it.
The NCAA recently reported that 1 in 3 high-profile college athletes receive abusive messages from gamblers, and it's begun calling for a ban on prop bets. Several states have already banned them. Now the NBA is reportedly discussing with gambling companies changes that include banning prop bets on minor players and removing the option for bettors to bet the under, since that's what players have the most control of. A player could do his best to make over 4.5 3-point baskets, but he can't make it a sure bet. But changing, let alone eliminating prop bets, aren't in the gambling company's interests. According to Forbes, prop bets made up a staggering 70% of one gambling company's activity on Super Bowl Sunday. They also make huge profits by getting customers to combine several prop bets into parlays, which increase the amount of money a bettor can win by decreasing the odds it'll succeed. Social media went crazy when this guy bet 25 cents on a 25-part parlay and won $23,000. But the vast majority of parlays fail and end up paying the gambling companies.
So prop bets seem minor, but they'll increasingly leave fans wondering what's real and what's fake. And sports leagues, by cozying up to gambling companies, have weakened their ability to stop it.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's another NBA player in the next year that's caught. And what message are you sending to the players and the athletes that it's okay to gamble, but you're not allowed to gamble? It's hard to say no to money.
All right, thanks again for watching another episode of Search Party. Small update on Jontay Porter. In July, he pled guilty to wire fraud and conspiracy to gamble, and he was also denied permission to resume his career in the Greek League. So again, extremely tough consequences for players who are caught gambling on sports. This is Search Party. If you're new here, please subscribe. We cover politics, we cover geography, we cover sports, and we like to cover a mix of all three. We publish about every 2 weeks. We've got some great stories coming up for you this fall, including some election coverage, and then some more sports stories that I'm shooting actually right now here in Johnny Harris's studio. And thanks again to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. If you want to get your data removed from the internet, check out Delete Me. That's at joindeleteme.com/searchparty, and you'll get 20% off. Thanks again to Delete Me. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in a couple weeks.